What is up, guys? Today we have a completely new video. We're going to be looking at champions that are performing well in Korean solo queue over the past week. So this stuff is all really good right now. We're going to be looking at gold and diamond. There'll be quite a few differences and stuff that works better. I think this is kind of more useful, but I didn't really want to make two videos, so I put them together. Leave a like if you want to see this more, if you enjoyed it, or if you're just in a really good mood today, and comment what you think too. So at number 10 in gold we've got Amumu, and in diamond Volibear. Amumu is like the typical bronze champion, right? That's a joke anyway. He's easy to play, has one skill shot, and in team fights it's pretty impossible to mess it up. Runic Echoes is great. It's high damage, and you're now kind of in that one shot the enemy carry mode, which is very hard to play around at lower ranks. He's tanky, especially with Strength of the Ages, and a very forgiving pick if you mess it up that can turn around bad games. So Volibear, this guy is the perfect example of so tanky and so much damage. You farm okay, your ganks are good, and your team fights are great. It's so good because if they focus you, then you're tanky and you have a heal. If they don't focus you, then you have loads of damage. He's a really high impact pick and a monster if you get ahead. And interestingly, he's actually being played a lot top lane too. You have the good sustain still and good damage, which can shut these carry laners down. And number 9 for gold, we've got Master Yi, and diamond we've got Poppy. Master Yi is another one of these just bronze champs where you just right click, you wait a few seconds and you've killed someone. There is more to him. You can auto reset from your heal, the damage reduction from it too, but really he's a simple but very effective champion. You can split push, which is very hard to deal with at lower ranks. You can team fight if you're far enough ahead, and you just have so much damage. Interestingly, he actually has the highest games played in this top 10 for gold and still a very high win rate, which just shows you how good he really is at the moment. Poppy also has the most games played in the top 10, and the majority of them are top lane. Even though she was nerfed, she still does well in most lanes and still has a ton of damage, still is very tanky. One of the bigger things really is kind of her playmaking potential. I think she can dive in, stun with her charge, knock up with her ultimate, and it buys her team a ton of time to follow up. Iceborne is pretty much all the damage you're going to need to build in the game, and it gives you a really flexible build path to suit whatever you need to go against in the game. At number 8, we're going to be looking at Ahri for the gold tier and Kayle for diamond. She's solid, a very good champion to main. She can hard carry, she has good damage, and most importantly I think she has good mobility, so you can make mistakes and not die for them. Her roaming is one of the best, partly because she's very risk free if you get caught you ult away, but partly just because she's so good at catching people when they are out of position. She's got a good lane, she's got good team fights and good late games, so you're always going to be relevant. No surprise here really with Kayle. She's not that easy to play, or actually kind of not easy to get to grips with, maybe is a better way of putting it. She's just very strong right now. Fervor is amazing on her. The strong items right now are great on her, and she's so good against assassins, so really everything in this meta is going well for her. Most of her games are mid lane, but about 40% of them are top lane too, so she's a very versatile pick in any lane. The one thing I will say is if you get behind top lane as Kayle, you are really going to suffer though. Those bruisers will tear you apart. So number 7, gold we have Quinn, and diamond Pantheon. Quinn surprised me actually. She's very focused on doing well early, so I kind of wouldn't have thought she'd be amazing at lower ranks. Thinking about it here though, she's actually amazing in lane and snowballs so hard, so it kind of covers that up, and when she gets a lead she will keep killing everyone all over the map. The blind is amazing, the Harrier proc is so hard to deal with, and people just get frustrated. Like they'll come to farm when they shouldn't, and it's pretty easy kills for Quinn when they do that. Now I've been saying Pantheon is great for ages, and while I think he's better at lower ranks, hint hint, he's still great at higher, which is the true test of something being really strong. His lane phase is amazing in most lanes. He's not great against tanks, but he is just so good at shutting down carry laners. He snowballs really hard, there's nothing you can really do if you mess up early, and he gets a few kills. His ultimate is easy roaming, and it lets him affect the entire map, which is really good for the top lane Pantheon, and interestingly he actually has a really good win rate mid lane and kind of an average one in the jungle too. So number 6, gold we have Kayle, and diamond Talon. She is ranked higher in gold in this top 10, but she actually has a higher win rate in diamond still. Kayle is uncommon at the moment. She does way more damage than you're expecting, and I've seen that lead to a lot of kills followed by a WTF in chat. Chakrez or Kalebot is going to hate me for this, but she's kind of a right click champion really with her build and Fervor now. It's just about the right time to go in and the right time to use your ultimate. Talon has a very high burst, but a pretty weak lane phase if you cannot get onto someone to kill them. You don't really have much poke or a shadow, for example, to get them lower before you kill them. I personally think like a big part of this where he is right now is because he snowballs really hard with the lead, but he can also come back in a losing game just because he does so much damage at the moment and works really well with Duskblade. Right, so we're on to our top 5 now. For gold, we're looking at Cogmore and Diamond Zed. I'm actually surprised Cog isn't higher here, but then again, he is a very immobile AD carry in an assassin meta, and at lower ranks, you're probably not going to get the peel or protection you need. He does though have a ton of damage. His lane phase isn't as weak as it was before, but it's also not amazing. If you can get your Rageblade and Runan's combo, then you can really do some damage and turn around lost games if you're allowed to just sit there and hit people. Now, I don't think anyone is surprised with Zed being on this list when assassins are so good right now. A big part of why he's so far up here is actually because of his pretty decent lane phase and just how good he is at snowballing. Like when you get ahead, you are great at roaming anyway, and when fights roll around, you can dive in, you can ult someone and then get out of the fight. That's a really big deal, killing someone and having an easy way to survive still. A lot of people struggle in lane versus Zed even at Diamond, and Yumu's into Duskblade is proving a really effective combination to close out games when you're ahead. Our 4th spot for gold is Zed again, and for Diamond it's Karthus. Now I literally just said a whole bunch for Zed and it applies here, maybe just even a little bit more actually. At gold, people are less likely to group, they're less likely to ward or to lock you down when you dive in, and it turns into an even nastier bloodbath. Players tend to be more passive at lower ranks, which means you should win your lane more, which really puts the game into your hands. You can kill your opponent, you can roam to other lanes and kill them, and assassins are just super good with a lead. This one probably not expected, right? But still a decent win rate over a pretty good number of games. I'm going to say that I think Karthus is actually okay against assassins. A lot of people are probably going to disagree, but I don't know. Karthus can farm from range and is pretty safe in lane. When he dies in team fights, he is still relevant, dealing huge amounts of damage, so surely that's just such a clever pick, right? You want the assassin to do his job. He kills you and then you kill everyone after. Your ultimate really rewards aggressive play and helps ganks around the map, and all in all, he's just a very solid pick, but yeah, probably a little bit better at higher elo. Right, top 3, taking our bronze medal in gold and diamond is actually the same one, Malzahar. I've been saying for so long this guy is so underrated, but you can kind of see that you actually have to put in a little bit of practice to become good with him. He does a ton of damage, again kind of like Kale where people just don't expect it. The space aids, the dot, they do hurt, but it's really the Q, the silence, you know, that long range thing in a line that he does? That has some serious base damage and scaling, so it packs a huge punch. I do get it, Mouse is known for his ultimate, sure, the disable, right? But it's really his damage that is going to carry a fight. A good ultimate can win you the game, I'm not going to lie, but it also leaves you quite vulnerable because you're standing still. The follow-up AoE damage is what makes him really good. So runner-up spot in gold is Pantheon, and in diamond is Nidalee. I told you earlier, I think Panth is better at lower ranks. He's kind of like this pick where if you don't respect it, you make mistakes, or you just aren't used to it, then he will absolutely demolish you. And I think all those 3 things are a bigger issue in lower elo. There's no second chances with Pantheon. If you fall behind early, you just have to pray you can catch up in team fights. His block shuts down a lot of laners. He has a stun, long range poke, and a disgusting all-in. So Nidalee, the bane of most lower rank games because they either suck hard or they kill everything. Nidalee as a champion is great. She does so much damage. She has a lot of poke. She is amazing at ganking, and her items actually provide a lot of damage while making her kind of tanky. I have seen a Nidalee lose the entire game by herself and win an entire game by herself. So yeah, she is great in the right hands, which makes sense for Diamond, but terrible in the wrong ones. It's important to note too, this one is actually one of the highest games played in its entire top 10 and still such a high win rate. So she is definitely a really big monster right now in the right hands. So first spot for gold is Sion. Not kidding, by the way, it's actually Sion. Most of this is in the top lane, but some is actually as a support too. He is just really tanky. That is what he's good at. Like, he has good damage and it's actually really hard to deal with as a meta top laner right now. You basically either kill him early or you just won't ever be able to, and his base damage is high enough that he can actually kill you. I kind of want to think of this like another Poppy, really. His base damage is good. He's going to have a big impact in the game no matter what you do. The first spot for Diamond is Cogmore, and that is a lot more expected, right? Similar to Nidalee, he actually has one of the highest games played and the highest win rate, and that is kind of when you know something is way too strong. At higher ranks, you're going to get more peel, and people understand that Cog is so strong, all they have to do is keep them alive and you'll kill everything. Lane-wise, I think you can win more, or at least not lose as hard with a better support, I think, and even your ultimate is a pretty high damage ability when they're on low health, and in theory, as a better player, you should be hitting that more. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, comment what you think, subscribe, share, but for now, I'm going to leave you with the robots.